Welcome aboard Carnival Freedom, where the sea is blue, the vibe is bold, and the fun starts long before you even set sail. Whether you're thinking about booking your first cruise or you're just curious about what life is like on one of Carnival's most spirited ships, this is your all-access pass. We're talking about big energy entertainment, food around every corner, sun-soaked deck, hidden gems, surprises you wouldn't expect, and yes, a few moments that might just make you say, okay, I need to be there. So buckle up, or maybe loosen up, because over the next few minutes, we're diving into everything that makes Carnival Freedom a floating playground for adults, families, and everyone who loves a good time. And trust me, there's something aboard the ship that most people don't find out until they're on board. So let's go check out Carnival Freedom. Something I do right off the bat, as soon as I get on board, is I head straight to the main deck and I go to the sail away party. And the sail away party on this cruise is going to be on deck 9. It's going to be on the main pool area, and it was a fun, lively atmosphere. You'll find that most of the passengers head there. Now, most people will not necessarily engage in the sail away party, but they will sit around and watch, and it's a spectacle. I recommend you get involved, get in the line. Great way to start off the cruise, get your drink package started off, and just mingle and have fun with not only the people you came on board with, but also fellow cruisers who are of the same mindset. So definitely, in my opinion, head to the deck 9 sail away party, main pool deck. You will not regret it. In addition to meeting like-minded cruisers, it's a great time to meet your cruise director, your entertainment team. Those people are paid basically to make sure that you have a great time while on board. And it's a great time to see who they are, get to know them, and just have a wonderful kickoff to your party. Definitely, even if you don't have the drink package, I recommend you start off with a beverage that you really enjoy and just sit down and just watch the world go by as you pull out and just hear all beautiful, great music and see dancing and just have a fun, lively, festive atmosphere. We're going to totally switch gears and start talking about something that people love to do while on board. Probably the number one thing that people like to do while on board a cruise ship, and that is to eat. And most of the time, they're going to do so in the main buffet. The main buffet is located on deck 9, and it's a huge buffet, and it has an assortment of different types of food that's all included with your cruise fare. And when I look at the food on board, there are two criteria that I look at the most, and it's going to be the quality of the food, how well does it taste, and also the variety. And on this ship, I was kind of concerned because it was a very inexpensive cruise. It wasn't very long, so I wasn't sure about whether or not they were going to go all out. So when it comes to the quality, I was pleasantly surprised. The food didn't taste too bad. It wasn't the best food I've had, but it's Carnival quality buffet type food. So you're not going to be disappointed, in my opinion, with the quality of the food. Now, when it comes to the variety, I wasn't altogether impressed. I thought that they could have had a lot more different variations of food. It was very repetitive and it got very ordinary very quickly. A challenge that you'll find in the main buffet is that there's not a lot of food islands. There is one, and it generally serves desserts or pastries or continental breakfast food. So most of the buffet was a line feature. So if you wanted one thing, you had to either cut in front of someone else just to get it, or you had to wait in line, and the line sometimes, especially during the busy hours, got a little bit long. So that's one of the challenges of the main buffet. But we were on a full sailing, so you could expect some lines, but it was a bit much in the buffet at times. Let's switch gears, still talking about food, where we're going to head into the main dining room. And there are two dining locations that you can eat. There's going to be the Chic restaurant, and that's located dead smack in the middle of the ship. And then there's the other dining place, the main dining hall, and it's towards the back of the ship. Now, here's a pro tip. If you have a choice between choosing from the Chic restaurant versus the second dining location, which is located to the back of the ship, which is the Posh restaurant, definitely choose the one in the back. And the reason why, it has lots of natural lighting. You're going to get a far greater opportunity, or I would say likelihood, of having a window seat in that restaurant than the other restaurant. If you're wondering about the food in either one of the restaurants, they're identical. So you're not going to win one way or the other when it comes to food. It's just going to be ambiance, location. I think the back restaurant is better. That's my own personal choice, but you make the call. I'm just giving you the information. Now, what you just saw right now is a lot of different foods that were being shown. And these are all the different foods that are served in the main dining hall. The main dining hall, in my opinion, serves pretty good food. They have the variety changes every day, so the menu is different every day. There are some items on the menu that are upcharged, like lobster and steak. But for the most part, you're gonna get a pretty good value for your money. If you're not happy with the food in the main buffet, then you do have option. And the number one option by a mile is going to be Guy's Burger Joint. It's located right outside the main buffet and also next to the pool. So it's a great location and people love this. It's not just on this ship, but it's on ships all throughout the Carnival brand. So it is going to be a definite number one winner. Now, right across from that is going to be BlueIguana Cantina. And it's serves Mexican food, also a fan favorite. Not as good, in my opinion, as Guy's Burger. That's a personal choice on my end, but people love that choice as an option. So definitely, you're gonna have two winning choices in alternative food choices. On the same deck, number 9, but on the complete opposite side is going to be the endless pool. And right there, you'll find the next place that we want to talk about, which is Pizza Pirate. Now, the unique thing about this place is that it's open late into the night. So you can get food here from basically lunchtime all the way up until late into the night. So the pizzas here are pretty good. The only challenge that I have is that there's like 1 or 2 people working back there, which means that the service is going to be slower than I would have liked. However, the pizza, in my opinion, is fairly good. So you're not going to be disappointed here either. Now, the steakhouse is not the only place that you can pay an upcharge to eat. There are different other places too as well. And I thought this was a pretty good value. And it's Seafood Shack, located right next to the main adult pool area. I thought that the food there was a good value for the money. They served lobster, but they also had crab legs with shrimp and a whole package. It was like for $20. It was a really good extra upcharge. I thought it was definitely worth it. Now, there's also a sushi place. I saw no one eating at the sushi place. It just took up space, in my opinion. I wish they had created a deli for that location. And it's right inside the main buffet area, but the sushi place was a dud, in my opinion. There's also specialty coffee on board, one located in the main buffet area, and that was actually quite busy. And then there's Java Blue Cafe, and Java Blue again was very busy. So if you like specialty coffee, there's that option is on board. However, it is at an upcharge. It's not included in your regular fare cost. Now we're switching gears and we're going to head to the main pool area. The pool area, in my opinion, for a ship this large, and there only are 2 pools on board, it's kind of a small pool. However, I love the area surrounding the pool. You have places that you can eat, you have bars, and you have a huge seating area where you can be on the pool. You can also participate in the slides and the water park. So I love the design of the pool. And then this is a classic design for some of the older Carnival ships, and this is an older Carnival ship. But the pool area, I love the design. It's just great seating, especially if you want to sit out in the sun, and especially if you also have a family, you want to keep an eye on people. You know, you don't have to go running around the ship. You can pretty much almost see the entire space from anywhere on board. So that's one of the things I love about this pool area. For the main pool area, there are 2 whirlpools, and they're mostly going to be occupied by little kids. There's lots of seating all the way around, and there's lifeguards as well as life vests. So if you're concerned about your little kiddos in the pool, the good news is that there's pretty much always a lifeguard on duty during the pool's regular hours. There are 2 water slides on board. They each give you a little slightly different water slide experience. I thought that was great. The thing that you will probably not like, especially if you have kids, is the water park. The water park, in my opinion, is absolutely tiny. There's a bucket that dumps water. I mean, that's a nice feature. A lot of water parks have that. Kids love it. But it is a tiny little space. So if you have kids and there are you know, the pool deck area is going to be great to some aspect, but because of the size of the ship, and it's just not necessarily probably going to be very wow factor. It doesn't have the wow factor for sure. It's a very small area. If you have kids, you're probably going to be disappointed with the pool area experience, especially when it comes to the water slide. Not the water slide, but the water park, I should say. I did mention that there were 2 pools, and the other pool is located on the same deck, deck number 9, but on the other side, and that is the adult pool area. And that's great because not only is it an adult pool, but there are 2 whirlpools there too as well, and both behind the pool deck, and those are both adult as well. So if you want an adult experience that you can kind of get away from the kids, then this is a great space. Now it's an open space, so kids can come and they can sit on the loungers and on the chairs and be in that space, but it can't necessarily be in the water and it can't be in the whirlpool. So that's a great feature, especially if you want to get away and just have a more, again, adult experience. Let's kind of reverse back and head back to the main atrium. That's where we started off the cruise. We entered into the main atrium. It's called the Millennium lobby. It goes up several floors. In my opinion, it sort of looks like a spaceship. It has a lot of funky colors. It looks very retro. This is an older ship, so the design is not necessarily going to be very contemporary or modern, but it does have an old retro feel to it. I can't say I really loved the design of the main lobby. Talking to some people, they also agreed they didn't love the design, but it was clean, it was functional. The centerpiece is going to be the elevator shaft, and it has a big bar there, and there's lots of entertainment that happens in the main lobby. We'll come back to this a little bit later, but it is a nice grand space. It's the nicest space on board the ship, on the interior portion of the ship, and it's a place where people gather. It's the entrance to the restaurant. They have guest services here, so a lot of things happen here in the main lobby. So it's definitely a central hub, and we'll get back to some of the things that you can see and do in the main lobby a little bit later on in the program. Let's talk now about entertainment. This is one of the main reasons why people love coming on board cruise ships. And most of the entertainment is going to take place in the main auditorium. And they have shows that happen at nighttime, and the shows are fantastic. There's dancing, there are huge wall monitors behind the dancing, choreographed to lights and music, and it's a spectacular show. You're not going to be disappointed. Now, when it comes to the quality of the entertainment team on board, I have seen better. These guys could sing and they could dance, and the choreography was fantastic. The music was great, but they couldn't sing. It was very noticeable that normally you'll have 1 or 2 that could really sing, but on this sailing, at least in the entertainment crew that I was with, there wasn't a good singer amongst any of them, and it was noticeable. It was noticeable. That's all I got to say. But it was still entertaining to watch. You're not going to necessarily be disappointed. In addition to the entertainment at the main theater, there's an assortment of different entertainments that are happening all on board the ship. One of the great things I love about cruising is that whether you're 2 or 92, you can find some type of entertainment value that's right for you, and it's happening all throughout the day. You can use your Carnival app and find out what's happening, the time it's happening, and you can make your own calendar and go to multiple things. Oftentimes there are overlapping things that are happening all at the same time, so you can't see everything all at once, but the good news is that there's always something going on. So if you like to be entertained, you can do that. If you like a quiet space where you can sit and read, there's options for you to do that too as well. But I love the fact that there's so much to do on board. Now I'm just going to take the time now to talk about some standout entertainment options that are available, and it's the pool deck entertainment comes in at number 1 for right now. The pool deck, I think, is a great space because no matter where you are on board the pool deck, you can look down and you can see what's happening down at the main floor. That's why the sail away party I thought was such a great space to have it. But the pool deck, you're going to have poolside entertainment that's going to be pretty good value. Next coming in is going to be the movie, outdoor movie, also at the pool deck. Sometimes they have it during the day, other times at night, but I love the outdoor pool deck area because it's a great entertainment space. When it comes to hit or miss type of entertainments on board, karaoke is usually always the hit for me because whether you can sing or you can't, it's fun to see people try, and you'll be entertained with people who can't sing because they're singing their hearts out and they're just making a fool of themselves, and those people out there who can really sing, and they go up there and they just blow you away. So no matter if they can sing or can't sing, I find there's entertainment value to be found. Also, there's a nightclub on board. However, I really didn't feel that the nightclub was a good entertainment value. Most people didn't want to dance, and it was just empty floor space, and it was just, in my opinion, a waste of time. There was lots of small bands on board. The challenge I found on this ship is that the venues that they chose were either going to be the main Atrium, which is great entertainment space, or a spot right in the casino. So for me, great small bands, but I wish they had chosen a lot more different venues where they could entertain. But you're going to find a lot of small bands on board, and entertainment is usually going to be in musical format, not a lot of like feats of strength or things like that. So, but the small bands I found were pretty good. They're going to be hit or miss because the bands travel and move around, but it's good entertainment value there too as well. Carnival usually does a great job at entertainment, especially when it comes to comedy, and this was no exception. The comedians on board were absolutely exceptional. They had me laughing from the time I sat down until the time they ended their performance. It was one of these kind of entertainment values that you were like, yeah, I just want to keep it going. But you know, it was just they did a phenomenal job. Carnival, good job. Hats off to you when it comes to comedic entertainment. There is a sports court on board. If you love sports like basketball and pickleball, there's opportunities for you to play that. But that's all there is, opportunities. Basketball, you're not gonna have a problem. However, with pickleball, it's a small court. So if you like having that full pickleball experience, you're gonna have to probably taper your expectations. The pickleball, people really love it. They bring their own rackets and they were playing as often as they could. But again, it's only one court and it was very small. Right near the sports court on the next level up, you're gonna have a mini golf experience, and the mini golf here it looks like a absolutely brand new course. It was in really tip-top condition. I don't think people realized it was up here because it wasn't very full, but you definitely is a good experience. All of this is included, by the way. You don't have to pay for any of this extra, and it was a very good but mini golf course on the upper level. There were other table games available on board. The only challenge I had was that they were so spread out that you had to really search for it. And there was no central area where everything was like, you know, like move from one game to the next. You had to like move from one game and walk halfway across the ship to have another type of experience. So there are table games available, but again, very much spread out. So that's something that you're probably not gonna like. There is a well-equipped arcade on board, which is great because if you have a sea day where it's raining or you're in port and you can't get off and you want something to do and you can't go on the outside area, it gives you an inside space where you can have lots of fun. The challenge with the arcade is that it's about $2.50 per game. So if you have little kids, they can go through a lot of money very quickly. So you definitely want to budget them accordingly and limit how much they can spend on their key card. There's more to come. However, if you're still watching this far, that means you're likely getting some value from this program. And the big ask that I'm going to ask you to do is just simply reach down, grab the mouse, grab your finger, and hit the like button. By doing so, you help like-minded people find this program. And I don't get anything from this. I don't get anything from Carnival, Royal Caribbean, or any other major cruise lines. I just do this simply because I enjoy cruising and I want you to have a great experience. And the thing that you can do to help me is just hit that like button. It will go so very far and it's so easy for you to do. Please do it now. Thank you. There is a casino on board. It's called Babylon Casino, which has a pretty cool name in my opinion. However, it is a small casino. It's a small ship, so everything's gonna be a little bit smaller. It does have all the popular games. You're gonna find slot machines as well as various table games, but you're not gonna find every single game imaginable. It is a smoking casino, which is a bad thing because you have to walk through the casino in order to get to other portions of the ship. Many people go on board, my wife to be one of them, and they want nothing to do with all that round the clock activity. The good news is that there is a spa on board, and the bad news is, in my opinion, sort of expensive. However, it's a great way for you to relax. If you plan on doing multiple things, I recommend you get the package. You'll save yourself money in doing that, and get it early. Not that they ever really sell out. I never heard that really to happen, but it can get kind of full. This is an older ship, and you can tell just by looking at this gymnasium and certain parts of the ship that this part has been touched. The equipment here is brand spanking new flooring, new environment. It really stands out as one of the shining parts of the ship that really shows exceptionally well. This gymnasium is spectacular. There is a bike riding, I guess it's a bike thing, riding course. I've never seen anyone use it, but they do have that too as well as free weights, elliptical machines, and cardio type machines. It is a well-equipped gym. The number one way that cruise lines get additional revenue from passengers is through the drink package. So you have to make sure that if you're buying the alcohol package, it's right for you. They allow up to as many as 15 drinks per day. However, in order for you to break even, you have to drink as many as 10 drinks per day. Also, keep in mind that if you have more than one adult in your stateroom and one wants it and one doesn't, you have to buy the drink package for all the adults in your stateroom. So before you get on board, do the math and make sure it makes sense. Also, if you're gonna buy the drink package, do it before you board the ship. This is one of the ways that you can actually save. It really is more expensive doing it on board than if you were to do it ahead of time. Here's a few considerations to keep in mind if you buy the drink package. You're going to more than likely go to an island. If you get off the ship and go to an island, the drink package doesn't work on an island. Also, if you go to the cruise island, sometimes they'll allow it to operate, sometimes they won't. You have to make sure where you're going and whether or not the drink package will work there. If you have ever seen a Carnival commercial, you'll know that it says it's the fun ship, and oftentimes you'll see adults and kids alike having fun. So if you're on board a Carnival ship, it's a family cruise line. That means you're going to find lots of kids on board having a great time. The good news is that there is a place called a Serenity Deck. And this place was, in my opinion, pretty deserted because I think a lot of adults didn't realize it was there, and they didn't really have the opportunity to use it to its fullest. However, I'm telling you right now, there is a place on board called the Serenity Deck that you have to be 21 years or older in order to be a part of it. It has its own whirlpool, a bar that was open not as often as I would like, but it has these comfortable, lush lounges. The nicest loungers on board are in the Serenity Zone. So it's a great place to break away, get away from kids, and just have some adult time together. As I mentioned earlier, Carnival is a kid-friendly, family-friendly cruise ship. If you have kids that you plan to bring on board, I think that's a good idea. Now, we talked about the water park earlier, which is not necessarily well equipped. However, there are kids club on board for kids of varying degrees, varying ages. I'll start off with Club Circle C, which is ages 12 to 14, and they have their own individual area. Same thing for Club O2, which is age 15 to 17. They have their own dedicated space. And here's my big recommendation to you. Take your kids to these clubs on day one. Sign them up, get them involved in some of the club activities. Even if they don't like the club activities or the club space, what they'll do there is find kids their own age. I'm not trying to pawn my kids off to other people or to get them out of my hair. However, I want them to have a great time on board, and oftentimes that's not necessarily going to be with me. But if you get them started early, they'll find kids their own ages and they'll be able to hang out, have fun, meet up with these kids, and have a great time on board together. Let's talk now about getting around the ship. By far, the number one way you're going to get around is going to be using elevators. And they do not have smart elevators on board, which is a good thing in my opinion, because in my experience, whenever I've gone on any ship that has a smart elevator, people usually have complaints with smart elevators, but they have traditional elevators on board, so you'll find that to be a good thing in my opinion. When it comes to mobility options, there were plenty of people I saw that had scooters and other types of wheelchair and devices that they use to get around. So if you're thinking about booking this trip, the only challenge you may find is finding a stateroom that's wheelchair accessible. Outside of that, getting around the ship using a scooter is not a problem whatsoever. If you want internet, there's internet available on board. And a lot of people I don't think realize how addicted they are to internet. They touch their phones as many as maybe 2,000 times per day. So not having it on board is going to be a shock to the system. So you may want to think about getting one of the smaller internet packages. The only problem with the internet is that it's going to be very expensive. You're looking at paying as much in one day as you would almost for an entire month. So internet is available, but you can save yourself some money by simply downloading shows, movies, podcasts, and other things that you would listen to while on board on your phone. That way you can have some type of entertainment, games especially, so you can kind of like kill some of that free time that you may have in between waiting in line or eating food and things like that. So think about the internet package, but just realize it's very expensive. The next thing we're going to do right now is the cabin tour. Show you exactly what your living quarters look like. I tend to be the kind of cruiser that comes to my cabin, unpacks, and I disappear pretty much for the rest of the entire cruise. Now, some people really love the cabin experience, my wife included. So if you are one of these people, do not get an inside cabin. You're not going to like it as much. However, if you pay for an outside cabin, it's going to be a bit steeper. It could cost you a lot more because older ships like the one we're on right now doesn't necessarily have a lot of outdoor cabins, and they have a far more interior cabin space. Now, while we look at the cabin, I'm going to talk about how much I paid for this cruise. This is an older ship, so more than likely, if you're sailing on board the ship, you're going to get a better deal than you would if you were on one of those mega ships or a newer ship. That being said, is it worth the bang for the buck? If you're looking at where you're going to see the age of the ship, cabin usually is where it ends up showing up. But my cabin was in pretty good shape, so I was very impressed. The hallways tend to look like they're really well too as well. We talked about the gym earlier. The gym has been retouched, and the main entertainment theater, that looks spectacular. However, you're going to see the age of the ship throughout the rest of your voyage. However, that doesn't mean you're not going to have a good time. I felt that the ship is in very good condition, and the prices for sailing on board is going to be pretty competitive, so you're not going to be disappointed. As far as value for the money, I believe it is a good value for the money. I always try to help folks understand if cruising on board a vessel I'm reviewing is worth your time and money. Time is very valuable. Some people say time is money. I tend to be one of those folks who agree, because if you're taking off work, that means that's money you could have been making, but you're not. And also, if you're spending money, you want to make sure that you're spending money on the right cruise for the right experience. Based on the price of this cruise, I've already said, it's a good value for the money. Is cruising on board worth your time? In my opinion, it absolutely is. I believe that the price reduction matches the quality of the experience that you receive on board. So in my opinion, they win on both accounts. I think that it will be a good value for the money, and I also would recommend this vessel. Thank you for watching. Have a great time, and thanks for being a part of Let's Go See It.